The happiest place. You ever have one of those trips where you just know something's off? Well, let me tell you about the time my friends and I went to Disneyland. Picture this: Main Street, USA, sun setting behind Sleeping Beauty Castle, the scent of charros in the air. Sounds perfect, right? But from the get-go, there was this strange undercurrent, like a shiver you can't shake. As we strolled through the park, I couldn't help but notice the characters. Something about Mickey and Minnie, Goofy and Pluto. It was like they were off, their eyes a bit too intense, smiles stretched just a tad too wide. I chalked it up to over-enthusiastic performers, but the unease gnawed at me. Nightfall brought a chill, but it wasn't just the temperature. The park took on a different vibe, shadows stretching across the pathways, the laughter of children echoing eerily. We decided to hit Space Mountain, hoping the thrill of the ride would shake off our jitters. As we waited in line, I couldn't help but notice the other visitors. A family in matching shirts, a couple holding hands, the usual Disneyland crowd, but their expressions were off, blank, vacant stares, like they were sleepwalking through the happiest place on earth. It sent a shiver down my spine. Finally, we boarded the ride. The darkness swallowed us, the sound of our own breath, the only thing breaking the silence. But then, from somewhere deep within the ride, came a guttural growl, low and menacing. I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. I turned to my friends, their faces pale, eyes wide. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. They nodded, but before we could react, the ride jerked to a stop. The lights flickered, casting long, eerie shadows on the walls. Panic surged through me. This wasn't right. This wasn't how Disneyland was supposed to be. Suddenly, the emergency lights kicked in, bathing the ride in a sickly greenish glow. And that's when I saw them, the characters. Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, all of them, standing in the shadows, their costumes tattered, eyes gleaming with a manic, unnatural light. I tried to make sense of it, but before I could react, they lunged at us. It was like a nightmare come to life. Mickey's gloves clawing, Goofy's laughter twisted into a sinister cackle. We fought back, adrenaline coursing through us, but it was like they were possessed, driven by some dark force. We managed to escape the ride, breathless and shaken, but the nightmare didn't end there. As we fled through the park, we saw more characters, their once joyful costumes now twisted and grotesque. It was like a waking nightmare, the happiest place on earth, transformed into a macabre carnival of horrors. We found refuge in a gift shop, barricading ourselves in, trying to make sense of the madness. But the eerie silence that settled over the park was broken by the distant echo of footsteps, a haunting reminder that we were not alone. Hours passed, the darkness outside pressing in on us. We knew we had to make a move, to find a way out of this nightmare. With hearts pounding, we ventured back into the park, moving like shadows through the twisted, empty streets. As we reached the center of the park, we saw it, a lone figure standing before Sleeping Beauty Castle. It was Mickey, but not the Mickey we knew. His once jolly face was contorted into a grotesque mask of malevolence, and in his hand, he held a glinting object, a knife. The sight froze us in our tracks. We were trapped, cornered by a nightmarish version of the beloved character. Panic surged through me, threatening to drown out reason. But then, in a split-second decision, I picked up a discarded park map, crumpling it into a makeshift projectile. With a deep breath, I hurled it towards Mickey, distracting him just long enough for us to sprint towards the exit. The adrenaline fueled our escape, our feet pounding against the pavement. We burst through the gates, breathless and shaken, the twisted world of Disneyland fading behind us. The night air was cool against our sweat-drenched skin, a stark contrast to the horrors we'd left behind. As we stumbled into the safety of the outside world, the realization hit us. We had survived a nightmarish trip to the happiest place on earth. The memory of those deranged characters would haunt us forever, a reminder that even in the most magical places, darkness can lurk. So, the next time you visit Disneyland, keep an eye out. You never know what might be lurking behind the smiles and laughter. And remember, sometimes the happiest places can be the most terrifying. The Haunted Magic Kingdom. You ever had a Disney trip that turned into the stuff of nightmares? Picture this, a sunny day at the Magic Kingdom, the scent of cotton candy and popcorn filling the air, and the joyful shrieks of children on their favorite rides. It was supposed to be the ultimate vacation, a fairy tale come to life. But little did I know that this would be the Disney trip that would turn into a haunting tale. We started the day with boundless excitement. My friends and I were like kids in a candy store, rushing from one attraction to another. The lines were long, but the promise of Disney magic kept us going. As we approached Space Mountain, we couldn't contain our glee. The anticipation was electric, sending a shiver of excitement down our spines. We climbed into the rocket seats, ready for a thrilling journey through the cosmos. The ride kicked off with a burst of music and swirling lights, and we were plunged into darkness. But something was off. The music cut out, the lights flickered, and the rocket shuddered to a halt. Panic washed over us as we sat in the pitch-black tunnel, the only sound being our racing hearts. Suddenly, from above, a deafening crash echoed through the darkness. Entire ride shook, and screams erupted from the other riders. I could feel my cold sweat as the realization hit us. The ride was collapsing. We fumbled for our phones, trying to use their feeble flashlights to find an exit, but the confusion and darkness were overwhelming. As we stumbled blindly through the labyrinthine tunnels, I could feel the claustrophobia closing in. The chaos outside was unreal. The lights on Space Mountain were flickering, casting eerie shadows that danced on the ground. People were scrambling to get out, their faces a mix of fear and disbelief. It was like a scene from a disaster movie, but it was happening right before our eyes. The nightmare didn't stop there. The commotion spread to the rest of the park. The carousel of progress was anything but progressive as it ground to a halt, the animatronic figures eerily frozen mid-action. The haunted mansion truly lived up to its name as it groaned and creaked, the ghostly apparitions within its walls seemingly coming to life. Panic and confusion reigned supreme as chaos swept through the crowd. The other rides began to suffer similar fates, and screams filled the air. It was like the very essence of Disney magic had turned into a curse. My friends and I decided to find a safer place to regroup and get a better grasp of the situation. We stumbled into a deserted shop, its shelves filled with Disney merchandise, all bathed in the sickly glow of the flickering lights. There, in the eerie silence, we could hear the distant wailing of sirens and the distant rumble of helicopters. We knew we had to find a way out, but the park was in chaos. The streets were clogged with panicked visitors, some injured, others in tears. It was like a nightmare had engulfed the Magic Kingdom. But then, as if emerging from a dream, I spotted something in the distance. Cinderella's castle, standing tall and majestic. We decided to head in that direction, hoping it would lead us to safety. As we got closer to the castle, we realized something was amiss. The towering structure loomed overhead, but it was marred by deep cracks and crumbling spires. The once sparkling moat was now a murky pool of water, its surface mirroring the chaos around it. We hesitated, but the sound of sirens in the distance urged us forward. We crossed a shaky drawbridge and entered the castle, the inside eerily empty. It was as if the place had been abandoned for centuries. We climbed the spiral staircase to the top, each step echoing in the silence. And that's when we saw it, a figure in tattered clothing, their back turned to us. They were hunched over, as if searching for something. "Hey, are you okay?" I called out, my voice trembling. The figure turned, revealing a face twisted into a rictus grin, eyes vacant and haunting. It was a cast member, their costume tattered and stained. The look in their eyes sent a shiver down my spine. With a guttural growl, the cast member lunged at us, their hands outstretched. We fought back, stumbling down the staircase in a frantic retreat. The descent felt like an eternity, our hearts pounding and our breaths coming in gasps. We burst out of the castle, the injured and disoriented visitors still roaming the park. We knew we had to get out, to escape the nightmare that had engulfed the park. As we made our way to the park's entrance, I couldn't help but glance back at the once magical place. It was now a twisted, nightmarish version of its former self. The very heart of Disney had turned into a house of horrors. The Magic Kingdom had become a place of nightmares, and we barely escaped with our lives. The Disney trip we dreamed of had become a haunting tale, a reminder that even the most magical places can turn into a nightmare in the blink of an eye. The Shadowed Magic Land. You know, there's a certain magic that hangs in the air at Disneyland. The laughter, the music, the bright colors, it's a world of its own. But let me tell you about the Disney trip that turned into a waking nightmare. It started like any other, with the scent of popcorn and the sound of children's laughter echoing through the park. My family and I were giddy with excitement, weaving through the crowd like a river finding its course. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow on Sleeping Beauty Castle. We couldn't wait to explore every nook and cranny, ride every attraction, and soak in every bit of Disney magic. As evening fell, we joined the line for Pirates of the Caribbean. The air was thick with anticipation, and my heart raced with the promise of adventure. But as we boarded the boat, an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. The ride was different, off somehow. The familiar pirate animatronics seemed more menacing, their laughter more sinister. Just as the boat rounded a bend, the lights flickered and went out completely. Panic gripped the riders, but before we could react, a gunshot rang out, followed by screams of terror. My heart pounded in my chest, and I grabbed my family's hands, trying to stay calm amidst the chaos. In the darkness, I could barely make out the shapes of panicked visitors, their cries filling the air. My mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. This couldn't be happening at Disneyland, of all places, but there was no denying the reality before us. We huddled together, trying to stay low and out of sight. The sound of rapid footsteps and more gunshots echoed through the cavernous ride, each one sending a shockwave of fear through us. We were trapped, helpless in the face of this inexplicable violence. Suddenly, a voice cut through the darkness, cold and detached. "This is my kingdom now," it sneered, sending chills down my spine. It was the voice of a madman, a stark contrast to the whimsical world of Disney. We knew we had to find a way out, to escape the nightmare that had engulfed the park. With trembling hands, we made our way through the darkened tunnels, guided only by the distant echoes of chaos. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat, every sound a potential danger. As we emerged from the ride, we were met with a scene of utter pandemonium. Visitors were running in every direction, their faces contorted with fear. The once magical world of Disneyland had transformed into a scene of unimaginable horror. We moved with purpose, trying to find a safe haven amidst the chaos, but every turn seemed to lead us deeper into the nightmare. We tried to stay calm, to think rationally, but the weight of the situation was suffocating. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a Disney cast member, their uniform disheveled, eyes wide with terror. "Follow me," they whispered urgently, their voice trembling. We didn't hesitate, trusting that they might lead us to safety. We wound through hidden passageways and backstage areas, far from the prying eyes of the chaos outside. The cast member explained that they had managed to to escape the gunmen and were now trying to lead others to safety. As we navigated the labyrinthine passages, my mind raced with a mixture of fear and determination. This couldn't be the end of our Disney trip, of our family's adventure. We had to find a way out, to survive and ensure our loved ones were safe. Finally, we emerged into a secluded courtyard, bathed in the pale light of the moon. It was a moment of respite, a chance to catch our breath. The cast member assured us that help was on the way, that the authorities were working to contain the situation. As we waited, the reality of what had transpired sunk in. The park that had once been a source of joy and wonder had become a nightmarish battleground. It was a stark reminder that even in the most magical places, darkness could find its way in. In the days that followed, as news of the tragic events at Disneyland spread, the world mourned. A park, once a symbol of innocence and joy, had been forever marred by the senseless violence. As I reflect on that fateful day, I can't help but feel a mixture of gratitude and sorrow. Gratitude for the bravery of the cast member who led us to safety, and sorrow for the lives lost and the innocence shattered. Disneyland will forever hold a different meaning for me now, a place of resilience, of the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable darkness. It serves as a reminder that even in the most magical places, we must remain vigilant, for the shadows can find their way in.